Morning folks, next on the agenda in the workshop, or the kitchen as it's known, is this SE3 I got off Ralph last week via Evil Bay, but I picked it up myself from Skegex at Skegness last week. Essentially it's all in. There's one slight problem, as you can see I've already made a start on. As Ralph pointed out at the sale, the base of the regulator is leaking and the seal is totally and utterly rock hard, so that needs changing. As obviously you can see, I've already unsoldered it. My soldering will be fun, as I've already found out, and generally always is for some strange reason. As you see, it's all here. Safety valve, new seals on by the looks of things. There's the tap, which is nice, just the right sort, yeah, not too tight, not too loose. The whistle is a fraction loose, but you know, oh yeah, it needs tightening up. See there. Burner, good condition. That will be getting use on the SP5D that I've recently bought, which I think was Monday. Brought it back. I haven't done anything with that yet, but I will use that because I don't want to use solid fuel if I can help it, mainly because of the smell, but also the goo, as you all know, underneath. Anyway, as you can see, it's fairly clean. There's the detachable chimney. I've tried to narrow down the age, but there doesn't seem to be that many changes to this model from what the book says, the Mamod book that is. So, unfortunately, I can't narrow it down too much. Maybe you all out there can help there, but according to the book, I've introduced 1957 as this SE3. Previous one was discontinued 1940, and I dare say it was quite a bit different. But anyway, 1957, stopped making it in 79, but the spring lever whistle was added in 72. So going on the whistle, 57 to about 71, 72. If anybody else can narrow it down anymore, it would be most interesting. So anyway, as it's not too bad anyway, it's pretty clean, but I'm going to start from scratch. I'm not going to unsolder anything that doesn't need unsoldering. I'm going to strip it down as much as I can without actually doing anything too major, and just give it a good clean. Start from scratch if you like, and then we'll get her running again. I do like these. There's something about these, I don't know, it's just probably the size I suppose, but they're nice, good, solid looking machines. The base is a little twisted. It's probably because one corner is slightly, the folds come open a bit. It's been damaged over the years, but you know, nothing major. And to be honest, sometimes I'll be looking at it and it's rocking a bit, and I'll just push it down and it levels it out nicely. Won't be screwed down to this board, but it'll be used for something, to power something. So that's that for the moment. I shall remove the whistle, and we'll get on with fettling her, resoldering the steam pipe, good polish, and we'll get her running. So there we are folks, SE3 now in bits, all its component parts, well mostly. As you can see, all the steam pipes are still on there. On the cylinder blocks. Just a bit sooty. You could have got away with just replacing that seal. But you know, something to do, interesting. Never had one before, never even looked at one that close before. Just starting from scratch, you know. So we've got the parts degreasing in meths. I say a bit overkill really, doesn't really need a fat lot doing to it at all, but nice to get into the workings as long as I can put it all back together. So there we are. we'll get on with the cleaning up. I have flushed the boiler with lemon juice, which with the larger safety valve, it's so nice to be able to have a good look inside the boiler, and it was refreshing. That was very refreshing. It was even more refreshing when you realise that the water comes out rather a lot quicker than the other models with the smaller safety valve holes, and it was refreshing for other reasons. Anyway, there we are. It'll be clean up time now. Back together, that little repair, and then we'll get her running. There we go, folks, about 4 hours of polishing. The brass hose took a beating. I think I'm addicted to it now. What I used is a cheapo Brillo pad with Brasso on, and even because they're not very good to start with, really, they're quite cheap. Even in their new condition, they're not that coarse that they cause damage. So it's been some work with that, but it's definitely better than just using a bit of rag. So the base, the firebox, have all been just given a wipe over WD-40. Just about everything else has been having a bit of a polish with the Brasso, get all the tarnish off. As you can see, the boiler's come up quite nicely now. It was a bit of effort, but it is nice. The steam pipes have come up okay. Not so good there, we can't see that. The superheated pipe, as it were. So now we'll put it back together and then soldering, which is where we make a mess of it. Well, there you go, folks. It's all back together. Just the soldering of the steam pipe to the regulator to do. Several hours of polishing, as I mentioned in the last little bit. A bit awkward to put that back together because you need to put about 3 things together at the same time. But anyway, back together, looking quite clean. I've showed it you now because it's probably not going to look that clean once I've done the soldering. So must fix the base down to something. I was thinking of a Meccano girder or 2 across the base, but as usual I've never got one quite the right length. Ideally one across the opposite angle to the twist, but that ain't long enough for that. Anyway, piece of wood, just as simple. So she does turn very smoothly. Just hope I've got the crank right, set it 180 degrees to the other one. Not 180, sorry, it's 90 degrees to the other one, isn't it? Anyway, turns nice and smoothly. All been oiled up where it needs to be oiled up for now. New seals on the whistle and the regulator tap. So we will now get these soldering iron out. Well, there we go, folks. I've soldered, and it was better than the last effort, but perhaps just a blob too much there, but I think it'll do. Of course, the question is, does the seal that I put on actually seal, or has it got damage with the heat? Anyway, we've tried to be careful. More soldering practice required, but we're there. We're in a position to try it. As you can see there's a slight overspill, you might say, but we'll go for that and see if it works. That's the main thing for the time being. Right, I had the crank incorrectly set. She just cleared her own throat, and that is a smooth runner. Very smooth runner. Just try and level the board up a bit as it's slightly warped. There we go. Right, the tap seems to be leaking slightly itself, not the solder. That's another little bit of a squeeze. Anyway, nice runner, as you can see. That's a shame, I thought she was going to keep going then. Steaming well. Boiler roll's knocking on for something like 200 millilitres to the water level. So yeah, we've got a slight leak on the tap. See if we can get away with tightening that screw a little bit. It's running fine. It seems to be settling down a little bit now. Anyway, so maybe a little bit of tightening up of the tap, just a tiny little bit there coming out. I've tightened them up a fraction, and see how we get on with that. But other than that, the seals seem to be fine. And a very smooth runner. Must remember next time to take more note of the position of the crankshaft. I'm getting confused with coupled wheels where you have to have them. If you have coupled wheels at 180 degrees opposite, they will lock up. So you have to lock 3/4. That's nice. Only got it slightly open. Running nicely. Very solid performer. Just got to drip more oil in, I've got it running. I did all the oiling before. Can't remember whether I said earlier. But let's see, have a recap. Took it apart, cleaned it up, polished mainly. Washed the boiler out, which didn't really need doing really. Put it back together. New seals on the tap and the whistle. The original whistle one might have been okay, but I thought, well, it's open, so why not change it? And seems to be running fine. Everything seems to be settling down now, so anyway, we're keeping on it. First run, of course. Nice one, Ralph, not too bad. I had fun getting it all back together this end and lining the pipes up and all that, and make sure everything was in place. So what we need is something for this one to do. But what? Answers on a postcard, as they say. See if we can get to run slightly slower. Oh, not that slow. She's blowing off steam lovely, so steaming very well. Oh, nearly. Yeah, not bad at all. Well, she keep going like that. Yeah. Notice the frames here look like they've got a, I don't know, say, it looks a bit like hammerite. I wouldn't have thought that was the right finish, but it looks a bit good. It's not as harsh as hammerite, the texture, by any means, and the rivets don't look like they've been touched. So, anybody got an opinion on that? What colour they should be? Correct colour? If they are or not, let us know. For a nice performer. Let's give her the beans. Very smooth runner. Yeah. Not sure about that safety valve on the top, sorry, the seal on top of the safety valve. Anyway, for now, she's running okay. We'll look at that at a later date. Very nice. So folks, that's another one done. Must finish off the SL1060, which is mainly just a bit of touch-up painting now. Which I think, yes, that'll be the next one. And we'll definitely do a static test, and hopefully we'll actually run it, which means sort of taking over the front room with track. See you next time.